welcome to Spirit of Business. Tjoni with you here, and today we are chatting with Agami from Coach Connect. So before we start, would you like to maybe share a little bit about your business, where you're at with it right now, and what you'd like to shift into?
Coach and Connect, it was a space that I was intending to create from it the real meaning of coaching. As I'm located in Cairo, I traveled to a lot of countries. I took the approach of coaching in a manner that we're helping people to reach their goals. Yet I realized here in our country, there's a very low percentage of people that will understand coaching properly. In the beginning, I was working with individuals. That's where I used to do, and expanded this to make a full circle or a full complete circle with a family, which is or an individual and their family. If they're living with their dog, if they're living with their family, if they're living with their partner. And that's actually where I wanted to be able to coach. I found myself working with one individual and the other one is not believing in it. So I want to connect them somewhere else. And I find the challenge that working with individuals that led me to rigid areas in the way people think. And I created Coach and Connect so I can actually bring together people alike and communities. Connect people together or connect them with professionals and make major change in big numbers instead of individuals and small groups.
Okay, well, let's dive in. I'm going to tune into the basic snapshot or the energy of what you're looking at and creating, and then I will ask it to show us what its ideal energy will be, and from that we can extrapolate what that actually means practically. So I'm going to put my glasses on so I can tune into the inner world without too much distraction, and I will just be talking and sharing what I see.
Oh, you look like a rock star.
As soon as I ask for the landscape, there's quite a big open space. Quite often these spaces are quite sort of contained, but this one's quite open. It has the feeling almost like although it's not colorful, like a circus tent, as in something that's been draped and is like opening out, like presenting itself out like this.
Mm-hmm.
I get the sense that there's all these like artifacts or statues or deities, like there's lots of these structures around the edge, but they're all in the shadow. Everything's in the shadow right now. And wow, I'm getting chills when I see that. There's actually, just come out for a sec.
Wow.
There's actually like a huge, it's like being under a huge big cavernous space, and there's just maybe hundreds or thousands of all of these huge like sculptures of different beings going like right back out. So it's not actually an enclosed space. It's like, it's really deep. It's like there's a huge big world under there, full of these resonant, energetically active, but physically still creatures, for want of a better word. It's almost like a huge ancient museum. And then this little, like a little boy, tiny, really little boy is just walking out from between these structures.
How ancient.
To me, I get the sense of something like an ancient like Hindu temple or something, but not specifically that, just like these really rich, like it doesn't look Egyptian. Well, maybe there is somewhere else, but I'm mainly tuning in on this side. And on this side, like I'm seeing creatures that might be related to something like a Ganesha or like, different deities, but from where I'm looking, they kind of look about maybe 4 or 5 meters tall. But when this little boy walks out, it's really like, I'm thinking of Dendera Temple, where, look, they're really actually towering. That's just from my perspective, they don't look so huge. But I'm seeing if the statues are like this little boy is like this, walking in between.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so if you went to, I don't know, Tibet or Bali or something and found an underground temple full of deities, then this might be something like what you see. And they're not colored, they're all in, like, they look like old brass, so they're kind of brown or black, but like old brass, or maybe rock. And so this little boy's moving, just like walking straight out. It's like he's just gone into like a museum or something. And I'm just waiting for him to tell me what he wants. And as soon as I give him energy, he straight away, he's transforming into still human. He keeps saying his name's Benny. They like to name themselves. And this is kind of curious. I'm actually sensing, normally when I'm looking into the spirit of business, because I'm not actually in it, I'm just asking it to show me something. I don't get any physical sensations in there, but I'm actually in this one, and there is something, there's something that's aware of me behind me. So I'm just kind of, I've got a little bit of a shield up. So this kid just immediately grew into something like I'm thinking of like the Marvel comics of like turning like Thor into, like the kind of Hollywood-esque style, like superhero kind of dude, right? So he straight away like grew into something big. But then the word legacy came. There's something about, that the legacy is the energy that we bring into the world that then we leave behind once our bodies have finished their journey, right? There's something in there about growing the legacy. And so to me, that is about like growing this space, growing this process, growing this work into something. It's far beyond like you as one man. It's something that then this structure will ultimately become part of this huge museum of these deities, right? It's having the intent of generating something that's going to then carry through. I don't know if that quite makes sense to me. We'll chat about it more a bit later, but that's what's kind of showing itself. It's really curious. So this creature, Benny, is getting bigger, but then there's these connective strands going from him out to all of these different deities, statues, whatever they are. And he's actually receiving energy from them. It's almost like the Eastern idea of the Akash, of tuning into the knowledge that is already there. The old deep knowledge that's already there, and using that to superpower this. And then so this is then moving more into the intuition, which is funny because we're doing an intuitive reading. And so maybe this is something to do actually, and maybe this is why I feel like I'm in this dreaming space as well, because it's about utilizing the ancient knowledge and the ancient connections and the ancient energies and wisdoms to bring that into the coaching space, and that will grow it into something that in itself becomes a legacy. Because honestly, I haven't been actually inside somebody's dream like that before, like inside the dreaming of a business before. I explore it, but more as like in the movies. It's really funny. Oh, wait, there's more. I think there is a Hollywood movie in there. I'm asking it what its ideal is. And he just grew so big. He grew into a giant tree like Yggdrasil. So the roots are like right down in the ground. The branches are like right out to the edges of the cosmos. And he's just creating this huge tree.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm saying, well, why do you need to do that? And he's talking about like bridging heaven and earth. And I know that these are kind of Christian terms, but forget the terminology, you get the idea.
Yeah.
And the idea of that the branches and the leaves are really acting as that container, that shield. And so to bring it into more practical terms, then it's about, bringing the intuition, but bringing the groundedness from the earth, from the roots, and combining them so that, the focus isn't on using intuition to go away and float out there. It's always to earth it in. And so the focus on the tree is always on the trunk. It's on the center space between the two, what would you call them? The two polarities, I guess, bringing in the earth nourishment as well as like the energetic, spiritual, mental nourishment into that central space. And I'm asking, what does it need from you? And it's showing, like, I saw it, like you just going like straight out on a branch and picking an apple. So it's a huge apple tree, apparently. And then coming back down to the ground and eating the apple and then planting one seed. So it's about you becoming actually more nourished by your own work first. And so the seed out of that could be something like it feels like a piece of content. So maybe you're creating a process and turning that into like a PDF guide so that then there's, something else to plant, something to offer. Maybe it's taking yourself through your own process and then creating a reflection of that in, say, an article or something like that. Because that then is planting the seeds that then other people get that idea of what your work is and how you're functioning. And then that also is starting to grow more trees automatically. So it's about, taking yourself through your own process and feeding yourself like through it. And I'm asking what's one step that you can do today. And straight away, it's opening, like showing me a notebook and just writing. Like it wants you to write. And it's showing like geometric shapes. Maybe it like wants you to map somehow, to mind map, or not to mind map, it's more about creating your own journey through that, maybe. No, that doesn't feel quite right. Sometimes these things can be a bit confusing. So it's showing me this book, and then there's like a string from the book, and it's going out and wrapping around the tree. So the process of writing has something to do with like connecting you and anchoring you to the process.
Okay.
Did I say it suggest to you the other day about doing like morning pages, morning writing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Random.
Yeah, that's what this is. It's anchoring you into that. So when you're doing your morning pages, if your intent with that is about connecting yourself into that central space, to that tree, the tree that is the spirit of your business, you will automatically uncover your own path to it just through automatic writing, autonomous writing. But then it's showing like it doesn't all have to be writing, even just scribbling, like just making designs without thinking about it too much. We call it doodling, just scribbling
Yeah.
designs.
Yeah.
That's what it's showing me.
Yeah, what it want me to focus on this period of time in this era, like a topic or um, a specific area that will nurture and feed the business and myself.
Okay. So it showed me this book, the book that it's drawing in, right? And it showed this stick figure of, I think it was a woman, and then there was people around, and it was tracing around the outside of the face, and then it was slowly starting to come in and in and in and in and in to a dot. And so when I look at that, it's a friend had a beautiful analogy once where he just like did this huge amount of scribble on a piece of paper, and he said, us as our personalities, our lives, we think we are the squiggle that is the mess of our lives, but we're actually the light shining through. And so, our process of evolution is just, is tuning into the light shining through, and not bypassing, but seeing the scribble for what it is. And so it feels really like getting beyond the masks. And I guess so much of, I guess that's about looking at what our filters are, what our masks are, what our triggers are, all of the external things, because we have people with their outer masks, like, trying to meet each other and then wondering why they can't, because it's just all of the external stuff that hasn't been brought to light yet, all of the shadow work, all of the trigger stuff, all of the trauma stuff. And so we've just got our trauma bodies kind of banging against each other, like trying to meet each other when we're trying to get to the center. So there's just something about just understanding that bit. So talking to the shell, talking to the mask, talking to the trauma, the triggers, all of that kind of stuff, and just seeing them as these external things. And when I was doing transpersonal counseling, we would, especially when we were doing focusing work, there's a bit in us that can get to a roadblock when we start seeing the bits of ourselves that are, still pretty messy and not so nice, right? And the bits that will come out in all of our shadow behaviors. If we talk about those as a part of ourself, and so when we're doing the focusing work, we always name the bits, because it's so much easier to relate to them if we put a different persona on them, right? And so through that, we can give them more compassion. So, looking at that circle of the huge shell and mask that is covering the psyche, if we can create different personalities for the different parts of that to have compassion with them, then, as clients, we can more openly communicate with them. So that's what I'm kind of getting from that. How does that land?
Quite interesting. It's another focus on the masks people wear, but the idea that's a female and there's people around. It's a core thing that people didn't manage to realize or understand for a long time. And it's the balance that should happen between feminine and masculine. And it's a challenge that keep repetitively coming in front of me for other people talking about, is connecting with another partner, and how they actually, I was bringing up that people will seek their trauma or their significant other through an image of a parent somewhere or another. And yeah, I will actually discover that more further, because I was invited to do that early in my career and I avoided it. And here it comes again.
And actually, even as you're saying that, then I'm like, oh, of course, the relevance of the female part is the mother wound as well.
Yeah.
And really
Yeah.
just going straight for the jugular with that and going, okay, really, how is that affecting us? So,
Yes.
that seems to be the focus right now for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to quickly tune in and say thank you and see if there's any last little flashes of weirdness that it wants to just throw out at us today. But it also reminds me of, have you done any archetypal work? Do you
Can
know
you
about?
explain that, please?
So the archetypes, they say there's about 42 basic archetypes, and an archetype is basically a pattern of, I guess, the psyche. So, you have the hermit,
Carl Jung.
sage, like, right, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so
Archetypes.
in counseling, you can use the archetypes and their various journeys as part of helping people to navigate their various journeys. So a lot of kids, for instance, they'll have a lot of like superheroes. There's all of
I
this,
heard about it a lot and I never had some work with it though.
yeah. And I honestly haven't worked with it a lot either, but just seeing all of and having a sense of all of these statues around, it actually kind of feels like archetypes when I think about it. The
Yeah.
archetypal energies of these different,
Oh,
if someone's having a struggle and you're like, okay, well, who in the movies, or what god or goddess or deity or character, or animals are archetypes. We use animal guides all the time. Even plants, when you look at it, or they have archetypes. What's the pattern of things? How do they grow? How do they function? How do they interact? Are they solo, communal, poisonous, full of fruit? So archetypes is basically an energy structure. We just usually think of it in terms of humanity. And so asking people, what they relate to in their journeys can actually give you some keen insights into what the medicine then is for them. Who are you relating to in this? And in an ideal scenario, what archetype would you like to come and be your guide? Who do you aspire to, or what do you aspire to? As I'm talking, like, I'm just like creating a whole new board game or something or other. Oh, an archetypal board game. And who is your arch nemesis? Who would be your arch nemesis?
yeah. Wow. I
Yeah,
need to I need to read about the archetypes, or actually, I don't know, watch a video that explained to me different archetypes because I watched a lot from Carl Jung that been talking about it,
yeah.
but I never understood because he bring the Joker, he bring different archetypes, the Knight. Yeah,
So apparently there is 42 main ones, but then, the subtypes of that, I mean, it's infinite. How many different
yeah,
ways can something
yes,
or someone wear? So yeah, that's curious that's coming through so strongly. Um, the archetypes of animals and the archetypes of plants. We don't need to understand these things so much because all of these structures, they have their own energy medicine, and the language that we have to use them is quite finite.
yeah,
Whereas from more of an intuitive perspective, asking someone to say, for example, just imagine, if you are a plant or an animal in this current scenario, what are you like? What does it feel like? And who is your medicine? And then embody the energy of that.
yes.
We
They
don't
bring
need
that
to
all the
actually
time.
analyze it.
They bring that in animals. They bring that in archetypes. Yes, and they use animals as archetypes as well.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was doing the focusing with you the other day and you ended up finding that space of like the rocks in the throat,
Yeah,
you consider that to be an archetype. And so one thing that you can do with that then to go, okay, well, that's the current energy. what's either the polar opposite of that, or like what's the medicine energy of that, and ask for that shape, that color, that smell, that sound. You know, if every toxin, and if something's uncomfortable in the body, okay, it's something that's blocked that needs to become unblocked. So the medicine is what will help to unblock it, will help to counteract it. So, you know, the medicine for rocks might be sand, or it might be actually liquid, or it might be gel, or, you know, it could be lots of different things. And you just ask it to show you. So this is getting all more into like the shamanic kind of work, I guess. So if you don't have any of those tools in your toolkit yet, then maybe that would be useful to have. And that's the kind of stuff that I can help to share with you, so that you have more of those tools as well.
Yes, we should start creating that one.
Mm.
It's going to be very useful to different areas for a lot of people.
Yeah. Okay, so the last little bit that I saw, it showed me paper kind of outline of this woman. But then have you ever seen where you take a big piece of paper and you fold it and concertina it, so that you cut out like an image and then you pull it out and there's lots?
Yeah.
So then it showed me that, and it just, there was this concertina thing of like this little stick figure kind of woman concertinaing out. And then there was just like hundreds and then thousands of them, like this huge big stream of them, like all over the world. And the words came that once you understand one mask, you can understand all of them.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah. And you know, you and I think we were saying a little while ago, like it's just so funny that when we're talking about our triggers and our traumas, that, you know, when we're talking about stuff that comes back to the mother wound, like we've all got
Yeah.
the same thing. It's all the same pattern. And when I was in Australia, most of the people that I knew that were my age, all of our triggers with our mums, it was the same thing. And we all had the same mum. So those triggers and those patterns, it feels like a collective pattern that we're here chugging through. And I guess that's why, you know, they say that our relationships with our mothers are the most challenging. And I guess that's why, because it's not just our relationship with our mother, it's our relationship with the collective. And it's huge.
Indeed. 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 It's a remarkable highlight because I remember back in 2013, 14. Yes. I was working more often with individuals, and one of the things, I was going through a tough patch in my life, ending a big chapter and starting from scratch. And this one of the things I'm actually proud of, because it gets you resilience, and it creates for you understanding of people failures. Not never tasting failure in a relationship or in a career or in a business makes you unaware of that dark side where people reach and rise from it again. And it's quite interesting because I was actually in a separation with my wife, and this marriage lasted 4 years and it ended by 2013. The interesting part was, usually when, I don't know if this is men in particular or men or women, and that were right after separation, you're in that phase that not a lot of people manage to stay single that long. You know, it just like there is this longing to reconnect with someone else.
Mm.
And I was distant from working with people who wants to connect with partners and actually connect with a female partner in particular. And that brings us back to the mother wound, because there's a lot of connections are built throughout men and women based on their parent wound, parent connection. So people need to test for real, which is trauma bond and which is true bond.
Yeah.
And I was distant from that work for very long. And you bringing it up and the images, it seems like it's nurturing this area is being nurtured enough to realize the difference, and I will totally rediscover that area again.
Beautiful. Yeah, it was an interesting and curious visual, just and it's like these streamers of all of these, thousands, maybe even millions of little figures, just all over the world. It's like it's all the same one. So
Yes.
yeah, so fascinating. Anyway, thank you so much for coming to play with the spirit of business.
Thank you, Tjoni.
And thank you for watching at home. If you would like to tune into the spirit of your business, please connect with all of the links down below. So till next time, my friends, keep well and keep dreaming the good dream. Ciao.